And we're live. How's it going, everybody? This is Ryan Bristol, physical therapist, and I'm really excited that we have a special guest with us this afternoon. This is an amazing client of mine, David. I'm really glad he's here with us. He's going to share his story with us. We've been working together for the past couple of months, and David's so generous and willing to just share his story with everybody about his journey. I'm going to let him kind of take the stage here. But long story short, and David will explain more of this, he's had on and off low back pain for a little bit of time. But, when things got a little serious, I'm just going to let him kind of share the story over here before I say too much. But ladies and gentlemen, this is David.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Dave, and so I'm a client with Ryan, and like he was saying, I suffered a back injury, a lower back injury from just bending over, and normally when this happened to me in the past, I would just give it a rest for a few days and I would be fine. Well, this time around, it didn't get better. I waited a week. I thought it would get better. I waited 2 weeks. Didn't get better. Third week went by. It actually got worse. As time went on, the pain got a lot worse, and it ended up with a pinched sciatic nerve. And I was absolutely suffering. And I went in to see my primary care physician, and she set me up with Ryan for physical therapy. So what I did was I followed the program, with the exercises and the stretches, and made sure that I did them every day and followed what I was supposed to do. And progress was a little slow at first, but I stuck with it, and after a little bit of time, like I would say maybe about a month or a month and a half, all of a sudden I started to really notice a big improvement in my physical abilities, and that inspired me even more to keep doing my physical therapy and sticking with it, and doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And
Right.
Here I am. I'm pain free. I'm back to work, which my job is auto mechanic, a very physical job. It also requires me to have to be in all sorts of awkward positions, which if you have a problem with your back, you cannot do. So thankfully, I'm back at the point where I'm working full days again. I'm able to walk, do a walk on the beach in the evenings with my wife, and I'm just pretty much back to normal.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that I was led to this, this, and that brought me back.
When you first hurt your back, you said you were out for a few weeks. Do you remember how long it was from the time of you knew like you're in serious pain until the time that we started working? Where it was 3 weeks, you're just trying to rest. Do you remember?
Yeah, I believe it was roughly about a month where I was kind of hoping that it was going to actually start improving, and in the past it's always worked itself out. And this time around I kept thinking, okay, it's going to turn around. It's going to turn around, and it didn't. And I was absolutely suffering. I couldn't even go from my bedroom to the kitchen in the morning, and that's when I knew that I needed some help. And so like I said, it actually got worse as time went on. The pain got worse.
During that time, did you try anything on your own before we met? Just like, okay, I'm gonna try a certain exercise that you looked online or researched or
Well,
friends advice?
basically the only thing that I knew to try was a heating pad, and that it didn't do anything for me. And as I probably found out later on down the line, it actually probably didn't, probably even hurt me more than it helped me, you know.
Yeah,
So, it sort of felt good at the moment when you have the heating pad on there, but it was not helping at all.
sure.
Yeah.
Uh, during that first 3 to 4 weeks, you mentioned that you weren't able to get out. You can barely get out of bed to go to the bathroom. Anything else that you couldn't do? Like you couldn't you couldn't go to work, or you just couldn't
My
normal.
God, I could I could really go, tell you about that. Where I live, it's 3 flights of stairs. I mean, that's the worst of the worst right there. To try and go down the stairs with that back injury, with that pinched sciatic nerve. Oh my God, it it was torture to go downstairs, and you know
Yeah.
that's absolutely crippling.
Do you remember how much time you needed off of work?
Well, initially I was given a whole week off of work, and at the end of that week off from work, I was basically hoping that I was getting better. And when I returned to work, I can remember this. My first physical therapy appointment was not for maybe another couple of weeks after that, if I remember correctly. And I
Starting to
tried to return to work, and I just could not do it. I could not do it. And that's when I called and I said, hey, can I get in there earlier? Because at that moment, I really realized that until I started the physical therapy and started that program, I was not going to get better, and I was not going to be able to perform my duties at work. So
work.
that's what, kind of jump started me. When I tried to return to work before physical therapy, it was just not working.
So you tried getting back into work after a week or so. When you got into work, like you mentioned, your job requires you to bend and to get into different positions
Yes.
as a
Yes.
mechanic, right? And you would go to work for a few hours, and you're just like, hey,
Yeah.
I got to go home.
Yep. Yeah, I'd go to work and I would get help from coworkers and stuff. And, you know, the job itself, like I was saying, it requires me to, you know, get into all kinds of awkward positions to work on a car. So, it was a disaster. It was not going to work. So yeah, so I'd be at work for a few hours and I am so uncomfortable. I got to leave.
Yeah.
So that went on for a while.
And then when you would go home, the things that you would normally want to do, like you and your spouse,
Yep.
you being able to,
Everything was out the window. All I could do was just sort of lay down and kind of curl up and just try to get myself as comfortable as I can. And, it was even something as, that we take for granted, like getting in the shower. It was absolutely excruciating.
yeah. I think you mentioned that to me.
Yeah. I was thinking that it had something to do with the angle of the shower that was really you know, just triggering that pain. And it was bad.
Okay, yeah. And then, fortunately, we were able to meet each other and just try to
Yep.
figure this thing out. When I saw you, you said like this is like emergency room, kind of pain,
Yep.
and not to go into too much details on what we worked on, but we got you on I would say we say fairly simple routine just to kind of to at least get you started,
Yep.
to get that pain under control.
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. We just started off small with simple exercises, like you said, very simple, easy to do, no fancy equipment. I just started doing them, and yeah,
Yeah.
thankfully we're at this point that I'm at right now.
I was looking back closer to when we like officially started working together. I believe it was around Thanksgiving, more or less.
Yep,
Uh,
that's when it was. Yep,
so let's say November 20-ish,
right.
late November. Um, how many weeks? So you, when we first met, you were in a lot of pain, and everything you just mentioned. That's what you were telling me on day one, week one. Um, how many weeks did you say that you would say, like, okay, like I do notice, I really do notice, I'm heading in the right direction, or there is some progress.
Okay, yeah. So basically, if I can, you know, sort of look back on the progress and just try and calculate when, the intervals and how it went, I would say after about a month, I could feel, I knew that I was on the right track, you know, after about a month. And then I'm pretty sure got close to month number 2. I was like, wow. I said, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm really turning the corner, and that's when I really got motivated about it. I'm really turning the corner. I was able to work full days at work. I was able to do all the personal things that I used to do at home again. Go walking on the beach in the evenings with my wife, and you know come up the stairs, to get home.
How long are your walks again?
We walk for roughly close to an hour every evening.
Nice.
Which I feel like that was, walking is very beneficial also, which you've mentioned to me as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, walking is really really important, and it has a lot of benefits, I believe. You know,
That's awesome.
everybody could benefit from walking.
So roughly just past 4 weeks ish, that's when you're like, hey, I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, like
Yep,
on
yep.
track.
4 weeks, I knew I was going in the right direction, and that's, like I said, that's when I got, really motivated by it, and really just committed, you know, to doing what I needed to do to get better.
Great, great. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of like what we just talked about a second ago, but for a while we didn't really do too much. Just like we just said, a couple simple exercises. And that was sort of it until we knew that that was really reducing your pain. Then
Yep.
once we felt like, hey, like this is, it looks like David's well on track with this start. Then we upped it. We started doing like little progressions here and there. Like 1 week might add a couple other things.
Yep.
Next week maybe a couple more, depending on how you felt with the new exercises.
Yeah. So we added, more of those, strengthening exercises, like he says, and when for me, like when I started to feel that these exercises were benefiting me, it motivated me to do more, to really buy into it, you know, and I'm doing them every day, and I'm just committed to doing them, you know.
that's
I see the results.
that's awesome. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess we're getting close to 3 months from the time that we first started working together. You're practically graduated from everything.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
nothing more I can really say other than just keep doing what you're doing. Like
Yep.
you got this. Um,
Yep.
what So we talked about where you were with couldn't work and couldn't get out of bed, go to the bathroom. Can you say a little bit about what you're able to do now? Like, how's work going? How's just your normal lifestyle going?
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, for sure. A coworker made a comment a couple weeks ago, and he said to me, he said, Dave, you look like you're back to normal. And I took what he said, and I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah, I kind of feel like I'm back to normal. And so since, over the past month, I really feel like I'm back to normal. I'm doing everything that I used to do, without any pain. You know, there's there's really nothing in my way right now.
Nice.
All of the things that I do in life, right? I
You're,
can remember going to the grocery store and just hanging on the shopping cart so I could get through the store. Seriously, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, no, I'm dying in here, and it was bad. It was bad.
and what you have to do for work every day, it's not easy. I mean, you gotta like carry things, lift things. You gotta reach over cars and climb under stuff.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Crawl under, climb on top, reach over. get into weird positions. I mean, it's, working on a car, there's, there's a lot to it, and it's pretty challenging physically, so this is
Yeah,
what's got me back to that point where I'm back 100% at work.
that's awesome. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, and that doesn't really get much more difficult than all those 40 hours a week responsibilities that you just said right there.
Yep.
Um, but not only that, I mean, you're like you said, you're exercising like you want to every day. You're going on your long walks with your wife every night.
Yep.
That's
Back
awesome.
to normal.
That's
Yep.
great. And in less than 3 months.
Yeah, roughly about there. Yeah. Yep. Oh,
Awesome.
yep.
Can't think of any other um, questions I'd like to ask you. I think you pretty much said it all. From before we met, when we met, a little bit of your journey, where you are today.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really grateful that it worked out this way because I was starting to wonder. I thought I was finished.
What do you mean by that? By your finish?
Well, I felt as though I wouldn't be able to recover.
Like the injury, the pain was so severe that
Yep.
there's no way.
Yeah. I was kind of, it was sort of weighing on my mind for a little bit, like, oh my gosh, is this permanent? But
Yeah.
oh,
Were you thinking like, oh my God, I have to see a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, or
yeah, it was, and I'm the type where I don't like medications. I did all this without medication. I take no medication, so I didn't want to consider anything drastic.
good, yeah.
Yeah, so
But the one thing that you really did, I mean, you were on this not just like you would show up and you'd work on your back for like 20 minutes a week, or here and there you'll work on your back. I mean, you were on it from the time you woke up
yep.
the throughout the whole day until you went to sleep at night. I mean, you were on it all the time.
Yes, yeah, it was. I pretty much, committed to it, 100% that I'm gonna do it, you know, and I did it, and that's how I got the results. I'm sure,
Yeah.
you know.
That, I guess that, yeah, as a physical therapist, that's one of the tough things is that I try to uh, encourage and motivate uh, people like yourself that it's like you got to work on this all the time. It doesn't have to be like setting aside an hour like you're going to the gym kind of thing, but just being mindful and
Yeah,
just uh, consistent with your routine. If
right.
you just say like, hey, oh yeah, I tried these stretches twice and they didn't help, you know,
Yeah, yeah, I was aware that it would take, a little bit more than just like, well, I tried them and it didn't work, so that's that. But I knew that it was going to take some work, and I committed to doing it, and that's how I got what my results. So basically, I think the trick to it is there's no magic. There's no magic pill. There's no shortcut, but there is a way. There's a way.
right, right,
Just realize that that's what you need to do. You only got one body and you got one back, and that's,
yeah,
got to take care of it.
yeah, absolutely. Now that you say you got one body, one back, that it makes me think like as physical therapists, we see a lot of different injuries. Someone maybe sprained their ankle because they stepped down a curb funny. Yeah,
Right.
that's not fun, and you're gonna have a swollen, sore ankle for maybe a few weeks. But I mean, this is your low back.
Yep.
You got some discs that can wear out if you're not careful. They can tear
Sure.
if
Yeah.
you're not careful,
Yep.
and you got all those nerves, the spinal cord. I mean, this is not like stubbing your toe or bumping your elbow on the door. I mean, this is
Yep. And especially, I think, as we get older, your body is a little less forgiving. So you do have to start thinking a little bit differently on how you're treating your body, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, sorry, my screen froze a little bit. Can you hear me, Dave?
Yeah,
Sorry, cut
I
out.
can hear you now. Yep.
Oh, okay, we're back.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like you said, as we age, and anytime someone has had a significant injury to any body part, especially the low back, um, even though you've practically graduated from your rehabilitative journey, um, you would probably
Yep.
agree that this is something you probably would want to keep up with for a lifetime, really, as far as like exercises and
Oh,
being,
for sure. Yeah.
um, not to be
Yep.
not to be fearful of, oh, I'm not going to do anything because I don't want to hurt my back, but being mindful and prepared.
Yes. Absolutely. Be aware. Be aware, and just, it's just a different approach to what you're doing. It's not that you can't do it. You can do it. You just have to, be smart about it, and it's, it's all doable.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, David, I think we covered everything.
Yep.
So much for your time and
Yep.
coming out here, and I'm really sure that this is going to inspire a lot of people out there to you know follow your guidance and hear
I
your.
hope so.
I think your story has been really inspiring. So thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah. No, thank you, Ryan. Because yeah, you helped me through it, and
Always. Oh,
it worked.
perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share with the group, with the audience, for those that are going to be watching this?
I guess, really the same message that, we've been discussing. It's just, you just have to commit to taking care of your body. And physical therapy is a very important thing, especially if you get an injury. So yeah, it's very helpful, very beneficial.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, David.
All
Um,
right.
thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking
Well,
the time
thank you.
to speak with me.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for watching all this. Please, I'll leave this link on the group for a little while, and I'll put on a link to shoot me an email if anyone has any questions. But David, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking
Yeah.
the time.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. I appreciate it too. Thank you.
All right, talk soon, everybody. Okay,
Okay. Good night.
bye.